There is a $5 valve sitting inside every Toyota engine ever built that single-handedly determines whether that engine dies at 200,000 miles or runs past 700,000 miles or even 1,000,000 miles. It weighs less than a deck of cards. You can replace it with one hand in under 4 minutes. A retired mail carrier named Gerald Ota in Honolulu ran his 1996 Tacoma for 31 years and 714,000 miles on the original engine. No rebuilds, no machine shop, no bottom-end work. When a local mechanic finally pulled the valve cover expecting a graveyard of sludge, the internals looked like they had 40,000 miles on them. Gerald replaced one part every 30,000 miles. Toyota quietly stopped mentioning that part in their maintenance schedules after 1998. The part costs less than a gallon of gas. The repair industry it protects generates over $34 billion a year in the United States alone. They did not stop recommending it because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well. The engine repair and maintenance industry generates over $180 billion per year in the United States. Powertrain work alone, engines and transmissions, accounts for roughly $25 billion of that. A $5 valve that eliminates their most profitable failure mode cannot be allowed to exist in public knowledge. That valve is called the PCV valve. It stands for positive crankcase ventilation. What was done to bury it is one of the quietest scandals in automotive history. Welcome to We Are Auto Nerds. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we crack open the vaults that billion-dollar auto industry giants welded shut. In 1942, engineers at General Motors' Cadillac division were building the M5 Stuart light tank for the United States Army. They had a problem that had nothing to do with civilian cars. During deep water fording operations, water would flood through the engine's open ventilation tube and destroy the crankcase from the inside out. A mechanical engineer named Bob Templin and his team developed a sealed valve system that used intake vacuum to pull toxic blow-by gases out of the crankcase through a controlled, spring-loaded pintle valve instead of dumping them into the open air. They called it positive crankcase ventilation. The valve weighed a few ounces, cost almost nothing to manufacture, and solved the problem permanently. But here is what the Army did not realize they had invented. That same valve did not just keep water out. It kept the engine oil clean. Blow-by gases, the combustion leftovers that leak past piston rings on every single firing cycle, contain unburned fuel, water vapor, nitrogen oxides, sulfur compounds, and acids. When those gases sit in the crankcase without being evacuated, they mix with engine oil and form a thick, gel-like sludge that clogs lubrication passages, starves bearings, and kills engines from the inside out. The PCV valve prevents all of it. It pulls those gases out of the crankcase, routes them back into the intake manifold, and burns them off harmlessly. The crankcase stays under slight vacuum. The oil stays clean. The seals stay intact. The engine lives. In 1952, a Dutch-born chemist at Caltech named Arie John Hagen Smit proved that automobile blow-by gases were a primary driver of the photochemical smog choking Los Angeles. The oil industry hired experts to discredit him. He fought back by creating artificial smog in lecture halls. He was nicknamed Arie Hagen Smog. In 1958, General Motors discovered that approximately 50% of all hydrocarbon emissions from vehicles were escaping through open crankcase ventilation tubes. General Motors offered PCV, which stands for Positive Crankcase Ventilation, to the entire American auto industry, royalty-free. California mandated PCV systems on all new vehicles in 1961, the first emissions control device in automotive history. By 1967, the federal government made it mandatory nationwide. And here is where the story takes a much darker turn. Every single automaker knew the PCV valve was a wear item. The spring fatigues, the pintle collects carbon deposits, the orifices clog with oil residue. A PCV valve that worked perfectly at 10,000 miles could be 40% restricted by 30,000 miles and nearly sealed shut by 60,000 miles. Honda understood this, and published a PCV valve replacement interval of every 30,000 miles in their official maintenance schedules for the CR-V and Civic. Toyota did not. Toyota has never, in at least 2 decades of published maintenance schedules, listed PCV valve replacement as a scheduled service item. Not for the Camry, not for the Tacoma, not for the Corolla, not for the 4Runner. A Toyota Tacoma factory repair manual states it explicitly. There is no scheduled inspection interval for the PCV valve or the PCV system hoses. The part that keeps the entire engine alive was deliberately left off the checklist. Stay with me, because what Toyota's own engines revealed about this silence is where the real money trail starts. In the late 1990s, Toyota faced a catastrophe. Approximately 3,400 sludge complaints poured in from owners of vehicles equipped with the 1 MZFE 3.0-liter V6 engine. Thick, gel-like deposits of degraded oil-clogged lubrication passages, starved bearings and camshafts, and caused catastrophic engine failures costing $7,000 to $10,000 to repair. Mechanics traced the root cause directly to the crankcase ventilation system. The valve covers on the 1 MZFE had riveted baffle plates with only 3 small vents, each with only 2 holes 3/16 of an inch in diameter. The positive crankcase ventilation valve and hose for the rear valve cover were too small to properly scavenge the rear cylinder head. Mechanics discovered that simply drilling additional holes in the baffle plate eliminated the sludge problem entirely. Toyota did not recall those engines for the ventilation defect. Toyota did not add PCV valve replacement to the maintenance schedule. In 2007, Toyota quietly settled a class action lawsuit covering approximately 3.5 million vehicles. Settlement details were mailed to 7.5 million current and previous owners. Toyota released redesigned valve covers with improved drainage and switched to a revised PCV valve design. And the maintenance schedule still said nothing. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about your Toyota engine than 99% of Toyota owners on the road today. And that is exactly what the repair industry is terrified of. An informed owner is an owner who never walks through their doors for a preventable engine failure. Now here's the science that should make your blood boil. SAE paper 921005, published by researchers Kawamura, Moritani, Nakata, and Uhori in 1989, established that the essential components for engine sludge formation are thermal decomposition products of fuel combined with nitrogen monoxide and air. These are the blow-by gases that a PCV valve is designed to evacuate. A follow-up study, SAE paper 910747, found that nitrogen oxide concentration in engine oil increases rapidly when crankcase gas temperature drops near the dew point of water vapor. That is exactly what happens during stop-and-go driving. Short trips, city commutes, the driving pattern of nearly every Toyota owner in America. A 2009 AAA survey found that only 6% of motorists believed they drove under severe conditions. But 62% admitted their actual driving habits qualified as severe, meaning the vast majority of engines on American roads are operating under the exact conditions that destroy oil fastest, and their PCV valves have never been replaced. So why is this not common knowledge? The answer is hiding in plain sight inside the revenue reports. Dealership service departments generated $156 billion in 2024, writing over 270 million repair orders. Service and parts represent only 12.4% of total dealership revenue, but account for 49.6% of dealership gross profit. Labor margins run 70 to 80%. The average dealership makes only 1 to 2% net profit overall. The service bay is what keeps the lights on. You cannot build a service empire on a $5 valve the customer replaces at home. You cannot generate 70% labor margins on a part that requires no tools and no appointment. You cannot sustain 270 million repair orders per year when the #1 cause of premature engine failure is eliminated by a part that costs less than a cup of coffee. This is not a maintenance problem. This is a revenue model. Go to AutoZone or any auto parts store. Walk to the emissions and engine control aisle. Ask for a PCV valve for your specific Toyota year and engine. For most Camrys, Corollas, and RAV4 models, the part number is 12204, 28030, or equivalent. Read the packaging to confirm it matches your engine. The valve should cost between $2.99 and $7.49. Do not buy the $15 dealer part. The aftermarket valves use the same spring-loaded pintle design and perform identically. Pop your hood. Locate the PCV valve. It is typically pressed into a rubber grommet on the valve cover with a single vacuum hose attached. Pull the hose off. Grip the valve and pull it straight out of the grommet. Push the new valve in, reattach the hose. That is it. No tools on most Toyota 4-cylinder engines. Some V6 models may need pliers for a hose clamp. Total time under 4 minutes. Total cost under $5. Repeat every 30,000 miles. Before you start, shake the old valve next to your ear. A functioning PCV valve rattles freely because the spring-loaded pintle moves inside the housing. If it does not rattle, it is stuck. If oil drips out of it, it is saturated. If the pintle moves but feels sluggish, it is on its way out. Replace it regardless of what you hear. At $3, there is no reason to gamble. A fleet manager named Christine Yu in Sacramento ran 11 Toyota Corollas in her courier service past 500,000 miles each. 9 of them never needed a single internal engine repair. Her secret was not synthetic oil. It was not short drain intervals. It was replacing a $5 PCV valve every 30,000 miles. Total investment over 500,000 miles, roughly $80 in PCV valves per vehicle. The repair cost she avoided, conservatively $3,000 to $10,000 per engine in seal replacements, sludge cleaning, and head gasket work. Victor Shepard of Houma, Louisiana drove a 2007 Toyota Tundra past 1 million miles on the original 4.7-liter V8. When Toyota's engineers tore it down, the cylinder walls still had crosshatch honing marks visible. The crankshaft journals showed no measurable wear. The engine performed almost identically to a brand new unit on the dynamometer. Shepard had 117 dealership service visits over 9 years. He replaced everything on schedule, including the parts Toyota does not tell you about. A $5 valve. 4 minutes. Every 30,000 miles. That is the difference between an engine that dies at 200,000 miles and one that refuses to quit at 700,000 miles. The compounds currently sold as engine oil additives and sludge removers are mostly petroleum distillates and detergent packages. They work by temporarily suspending deposits in the oil. The result looks impressive for about 2,000 miles. Then the sludge reforms because the root cause, a clogged PCV system, was never addressed. The customer watches their oil turn black within weeks and reaches the obvious conclusion that engine sludge is inevitable. That conclusion drives them directly to the service bay every single time. This is not an accident. This is a designed failure loop engineered into the product formulation itself. A $5 PCV valve breaks that loop permanently. Toyota built engines capable of running 1 million miles. They proved it with Victor Shepard's Tundra. They proved it with Mike Neal's Tacoma that hit 1.6 million miles in Raleigh, North Carolina. They proved it with the IC Cars study showing the Toyota Sequoia has a 39.1% chance of reaching 250,000 miles, 8 times the industry average. Toyota builds the most durable engines on the planet, and then they leave the single most important maintenance item off the schedule. If this video cracks something open for you, subscribe and share it with every Toyota owner you know who has never once replaced their PCV valve. Every like and every share preserves what the repair industry tried to erase from public knowledge. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside will make this one look like a warm-up.